Scottie Pippen doesn't believe the Chicago Bulls are built for the NBA playoffs. Let's talk about it starting now. Now, if you are new to the channel, please like the video. Please subscribe to the page. We do talk Chicago Bulls daily on this channel. It's the only channel talking Chicago Bulls, how Chicago talks. So make sure that you get in tune with us, man. So Scottie Pippen had an event this week in Barnes and Nobles and was asked about where he believed the Chicago Bulls roster is, where he believes this team is, where he thinks this team is heading. And he said that basically he doesn't believe that the Chicago Bulls roster is built for the playoffs. The question on the table is he right? And you have to look at it in a couple different ways to me, right? Is this team currently built for a championship run? At first glance, looking at what the team is on paper, you have to say no, right? You can't definitively say that the Chicago Bulls are ready for a championship run. But with that same thing in hand, right, you couldn't say last season that the Chicago Bulls would be close to a 50-win team. Nobody expected that. Nobody thought that's what this team was going to come out with. And now you're talking about that same team coming out on the other side of this and having playoff experience. That is a big difference coming into season 2 of this thing. Also, you have to take into account a couple of other things like health and just system and things like that. But at least starting off right, you have to talk about the growth that this team could possibly go to coming into the season. Now, am I saying that Scottie Pippen is wrong? No, I'm not. I don't believe that the Chicago Bulls are currently built for a championship run. But when you say the playoffs, you got to be a little bit more specific to me, right? Can I see the Bulls getting out of the first round? Absolutely. I think a healthy Bulls team gets out of the first round last season. You look at the numbers of some of these guys that weren't there, right? Lonzo Ball upping his three-point percentage to over 40% from everywhere from behind the three-point line, not only on the catch and shoot three, but also on the corner three. Also on the spot up three. I mean, like no matter what you wanted to talk about, that would have helped last season versus a Milwaukee Bucks team that absolutely conceded the three ball to us. And that's pretty much the style of play that they took the entire time through the playoffs. So for me, right, I think the Bulls are a completely different team if there's a little bit more health on this team last season. And so for me to say that they're not built for the playoffs, I can't go that far, but if Scottie's talking about a finals run, I would agree with him on that aspect. Now, before I continue with the video, I do want to know how you guys feel, man. Let me know in the comments below. Do you think that Scottie Pippen is right? Are the Chicago Bulls built for the playoffs? And if you think they are, how far in the playoffs do you think that they can go this season? Couple of other housekeeping notes on this, man. Almost half of you guys that watch the content here, over here, my bad, wrong side. Almost half of you guys that watch the content here are not subscribed. So please hit that subscribe button if you enjoy the Chicago Bulls content, and make sure that you guys hit that like button on the video. Go ahead, press it. Press it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You press it? All right, shout out to you, man. Let's get to the other side of this thing. The other thing you have to take into account when you're coming on the other side of this is how this Bulls team is going to take a step just based on being in the playoffs the season before and the players that got that experience, right? You're not talking about, you know, just Zach LaVine and guys like that, right? We're talking about guys that could be major on this team and that a bit of playoff experience could help. Patrick Williams got to see that, hey, I can score in some of these big moments in the game when I need to be the best player on the court. I can put up 20 points. I can go out there and get you 5-6 rebounds, right? Patrick Williams got to see that firsthand. Now, granted, they're in blowout games and he was the only one that was able to take shots because he was the only one left to take those shots. But when he was relied upon, he was able to put the ball in the bucket fairly efficiently. That's something that can definitely carry over into this season. And if you see Patrick Williams just do a little bit more than what we've seen him be a 9-point per game guy. If all of a sudden he turns himself into a 15 to 18 point per game guy, now you're talking about a team that has a completely different scoring option as well as a defensive threat. You're talking about adding another two-way into this thing. And then on top of that, right, I look at Ayo Dosunmu as a really big difference maker for the Chicago Bulls coming into this season. A guy who's going to have a lot of length, a lot of arm size, wingspan, arm size, what the heck is that? A lot of wingspan, going to be able to defend some of the best in the game. And by the way, his numbers on defense were ridiculous last season versus some of the best in the game. I mean, you look at some of the names he was able to shut down last season. Darius Garland went 13 for 31 against Ayo Dosunmu on 41%, 1 for 7 from the three-point line, had 9 turnovers. Trae Young went 11 for 30 on 36%, had 4 turnovers, got blocked 5 times by Ayo Dosunmu. Jason Tatum went 5 for 16 against Ayo Dosunmu and had 3 turnovers himself, right? So major names have gone up against Ayo, and Ayo has stood the test of time against all of those guys. Brad Beal went 2 for 8, shot 25% in the game, right? So like, I look at guys like that and I say that, okay, this kid did this in his rookie year. He was one of the best on-ball defenders in the NBA. He was the best on-ball defender among rookies. How is he going to add his game into the mix? How's he going to take a step? And he started all last season. So now you're having the ability to take a step and hopefully play less because of Lonzo Ball coming back healthy. So now you're going to get to see that beautiful pass off that we didn't get to see last year, where you're going through a defensive struggle with Lonzo Ball the entire game. And guess what? When Lonzo comes out of the game, here comes Ayo back into the game. That's going to take a toll on guys. That's going to wear guys thin. Guys are going to be struggle against that defensive intensity. And I think that those are things that you want to see going into a playoff team, right? Those are 2 guys that I think really could take a step on the Chicago Bulls team. Those are 2 guys that the Bulls need to take a step. And I think if they take a step, right, you're not just talking about a playoff run. You're talking about a deep playoff run. And I think that's kind of the difference. So again, right, is Scottie wrong to say that the Bulls aren't built for the playoffs? It depends on what you're saying. I think the Bulls right now are built to be a playoff team, even with those guys playing the way that they did last year. If everybody can be healthy when the playoffs get here, guess what? I think they can get through a round, maybe fight their way to a game 7 and get through 2 rounds. But if you see these young guys that you need to take a step actually take that step, now you're talking about a team that could be a completely differently viewed team, because you're talking about having multiple two-way players. You're talking about having 2 top-level scorers on your team. You're talking about having one of the best point guards in the NBA on your team. You're talking about having a top 5 center in the NBA on your team. Oh, by the way, coming off the bench to back that center up is one of the greatest rebounders in NBA history in Andre Drummond. When you look at the stats and how they work themselves out average-wise, right, he's one of the best rebounders in NBA history. We're talking about a dude that rebounds at a Wilt level at certain times here. So when I'm looking at this Bulls team, and if healthy, right? Oh, by the way, Alex Caruso, a top 20 shooting guard in the NBA per Hoops Hype. When I'm looking at this team, I'm telling you that, do I think that right now by itself as it is, it's built to go to the NBA Finals and win it? No. I can't say that. I can't even say that I feel like this team is ready to get to an ECF yet. These things take time, and I'm okay with these things taking time. I'm okay with building out this roster, allowing, as long as you continue to take steps forward, right? I'm okay with what this roster is becoming. But what I will say is that to say that they're not built for the playoffs in the slightest, to say that they're not built for even making the playoffs, making a round to get through a round, I just don't see that, right? And I don't think you can watch that Bucks series last year, even though the Bulls did get blown out 2 games. 3. Even though the Bulls did get blown out kind of coming to the end of that series, right? I can't look at that Bucks series and say there was no way the Chicago Bulls could win. I think the Bulls were just way too injured to even be competitive in that series by the end of it. But as always, man, I do want to know how you guys feel, man. Let me know in the comments below. I'll be down there talking with you as well. Do you feel like Scottie Pippen was right on his assessment that the Bulls are not built for the playoffs? Let me know in the comments below. As always, man, to continue watching our Chicago Bulls content, click the links on the screen or check the links in the description below. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Peace.